In this episode, we are talking to Dr. of Stuff about OMI, VeVe, and what he wishes to see from the company over the next couple of months. I'm your host, Jan Collects, and now let's welcome Dr. of Stuff.
Thanks, Jan Collects. I'm very excited to be here, man, and to chat about all things OMI and VeVe.
Yeah, definitely. And to kick this conversation off, just give me a overview what you think currently about OMI and VeVe and the current market condition and sentiment they are in.
Yeah. Well, I would say overall, the last couple months, I would think that the sentiment has been a lot more bullish. I've seen so many more posts, and shout out to people like VeVe Viral and Crypto Cosmo and even Foster Hill, right? As they kind of ramped up the tweets that they're doing. And, Crypto Cosmo kind of did this push of voting bullish on OMI on CoinMarketCap. And then we started to see other community members basically being like, hey, if you're reading this, you need to post some of your videos or your collectibles in AR. And so we just started to see just like a lot more people out there. And it was really good. I think the community started to see that there were so many other people that were so really excited about it. And when you combine that with, the recent sales of like CryptoPunks, and now we're talking to Bored Apes and Moonbirds, right?
Yeah,
like
I've seen a Moonbird tweet of a Moonbird sale today for 24 ETH or so, $106,000 roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I haven't seen that one, but like we're starting to see that. And, and maybe we'll get in this a little bit later, but like I talked to the real Randy Chavez about this. We talked about it a little bit on OMI is My Homie, but then afterwards, I kind of sat down with him and expressed a lot of my sentiment regarding like, what the Akomi team and the VeVe team should probably be doing, because one of the reasons that Moonbirds has taken off, first of all, they got a new CEO, right? I mean, he purchased the Moonbirds IP, but he has been working on all of these collaborations. They've been doing airdrops of all these collaborations for owning the NFT. And I think that things like that, VeVe need to start doing that. They should, like, because their whole thing is that they want to get more users. These are the types of things in Web3 that you need to be doing to get more users. And for a while, I thought that there was some concerns about, the SEC targeting someone like VeVe because of the IP that they have. But anyways,
that should be over, right? I mean, the legislation is kind of clear in my understanding.
Yeah, so we do have the legislation, I will say, is not fully clear yet. That being said, the SEC has come out with like non-binding stuff, basically saying that like we think that like digital collectibles are not securities. And they've also talked about like things like airdrops and kind of like allowing that. And when you have like a major IP like Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Like that would have been a perfect thing for the SEC to target because there was so much money going through that, and they never targeted Bored Ape for the airdrops specifically, right? So I think that there is some, and it's a couple things, right? Like there's the airdrop and working with the IPs and having the IPs say, do we want to just be giving something away for free? And my answer is yes, do, because what happens is, that you're holding a set, Jan, of the golden moments, right? The full golden moments, all of the golden moments, and all of a sudden you get airdropped some super rare thing because there's only maybe 100 people who have that whole set. All of a sudden, number one,
I don't even think that it's so many.
Yeah, it might be 50, right? Like, I don't know what it is, and that's just an example. But what happens is all of a sudden those people feel valued and rewarded as a collector. And when we're talking about collectors at heart, you're collecting something. If you get given something just because you're collecting this, what then starts to happen is people are like, oh my gosh, maybe I need to get more sets, or maybe I need to collect the things that I love and get those sets because there's a potential airdrop in the future for me.
Yeah.
And not only that, but then that airdrop gets, because maybe someone was like, oh, like I don't need this airdrop. There's some other things that I really want, but I'm going to sell that airdrop and then I'm going to buy more. And so then that airdrop gets traded around, and then the IP gets the money off of those sales, and it just spurs a lot more activity. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in Moonbirds. We're seeing that in a lot of other places. And I think that that's where some of the excitement on OMI and VeVe is we're seeing some of these projects really elevating in price, and some of the actions that they're doing. And I think that people are starting to say like, hey, this is something that VeVe can, and I say should be doing, and I think that that's really elevating the excitement and the sentiment like in the community as things kind of start to heat up in the crypto market and the NFT market.
Yeah, totally reasonable in my understanding. I mean, normally, like in the crypto cycle, the NFTs are like the last things to really go up. But currently, it's more like the crypto native NFT projects, I would say. Not that VeVe isn't crypto native, but I think you get what I mean, right? Like the real crypto NFTs. I mean, that discussion is I hate that discussion, and it always pops up, honestly. So what is on that topic, what is your opinion on the comment that a few people make that VeVe's NFTs aren't real NFTs?
Like it's funny. I should probably do a video like addressing it really, like, because I've been on Twitter. I've gotten in those arguments, right? And basically their argument is because it's not on the layer one, right? Like it's not minted on the layer one. It's not a real NFT. And I'm like what are you defining as an NFT? Like that, like that's
Yeah.
the whole thing, right? Because I could sit there and say that anything that is not fully on chain is not an NFT. So like the large majority of these projects, like the image actually isn't on the blockchain, right? It's stored in some server, and if that server goes down, the image to your token of your, I think Moonbird's like is minted on chain now, but like my doodle or something, right? Like the image of my doodle all suddenly disappears, and I just have like a token ID. Is that a real NFT, or are the only real NFTs like the Bitcoin ordinal NFTs, right? Because like that's minted on the blockchain. And so it's such a silly argument. And really what it is it's these people that have agendas, whether they're upset at the VeVe team. And so they're doing anything they can to try to harm the company, but in while doing so, they're also harming the community, right? And it's funny because they're sitting there like, oh, I'm here to protect the community. And I'm like, no, you're talking all this crap on VeVe, right? And trying to FUD it, right? So that people aren't interested in it, which then harms the ecosystem, harms those collectors, as more and more people then maybe might not join in and fall in love with their digital collectibles, right? So it's such a false narrative that they've put out there of like, oh, I'm just protecting people. Like, well, you're lying. First of all, in a lot of cases, right? Like they know what they're putting out there. Now, they can sit there and say, no, well, by my definition, I don't feel like they're NFTs. Okay, that's different than you saying that they are not real NFTs. But that's what you're saying is that they're not, right? And I saw, shout out to Up Crypto, but he had done, he like tagged Claude, he tagged Grok, he tagged ChatGPT and asked all of them if VeVe using IMX, right? And that Validium roll up, like, were they real NFTs? And all of them said yes, right? Like, so again, I think that they are taking this narrow definition of what they feel like NFTs should be. And then they're saying, well, this is why it's not. But it's just like, well, but you're not saying that, right? You're not saying, I feel like this is the definition and VeVe doesn't meet this. You're just saying that they're full on not VeVe NFTs. And so it's just tiring. And again, like, I have these same people, I have multiple times, like Crypto Bro, Arahant, some of these, like main voices, I guess, of the quote unquote fudders.
Yeah.
I've directly interacted with them in those conversations and proven them wrong. And so, and like Crypto Bro just blocked me, right? Like after I called out, like he straight up lied, and he's done it multiple times through his VeVe feed, through some of these things. And so, and I've proven that, right? But like, there's these same 20 voices, and they each have like another 30 accounts, right? So it makes it sound like
they are
like
really dedicated, man. Honestly, they are really dedicated. and I'm always thinking like, hey, honestly, have your point of view. I'm fine with that, but please let me have my point of view. And I think we could have a conversation. And I mean, we kind of really fast see, okay, we are not coming together on the same viewpoint. So, and I always don't get how and why they spend so much time about something they dislike. I mean, probably probably it's like they lost money or so. I mean, most of us are down right now. I mean, I guess, yeah. But then I'm always thinking about, okay, it was my responsibility, and I take that chip on my shoulder. I could have seen that that the NFT and crypto market moves in waves.
Mhm.
So I think we shouldn't forget that what we are doing here is like early startup investing, in my point of view.
Yeah, look, I will never, and I've spoken with some quote unquote fudders that I wouldn't consider them fudders, right? They're bringing up valid viewpoints of things that they're frustrated about, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's the snippet that they people of Comey, or I can't remember who it was, maybe it wasn't Comey. Someone tweeted it out. Maybe it was David Yu even, right? That basically like said that interoperability was imminent. Put a lot of money in after that tweet, because I
Mm,
looked at what Bored Ape was doing and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can get freaking the first Batman on the blockchain out there,
yeah.
and it's interoperable and stuff, like this is going to be extremely valuable. And then it didn't happen. Right. And so I get that. But also, what the disconnect between my thoughts and their thoughts is that I'm saying, well, what happened? Why did that stop? Right. And
Mm,
I believe that at some point they thought like, hey, this is going to happen. And then they went to the IP and the IP is like, we're not ready for that.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're not familiar enough with blockchain technology to see, we don't feel comfortable. What about royalties? All of these things, right? That then they kind of had to put the brakes on and not to throw their IP partners under the bus and be like, listen, we tweeted out interoperability. Turns out
Hmm.
Disney doesn't want it
Yeah.
right now. Like they're not going to do that. Right. And so,
Yeah.
but is that frustrating? Absolutely. Can people be frustrated about that? Sure. But to sit there and say that like they absolutely lied, they can't prove that, right? They can
Yeah.
feel that way. But like I'm like in so many of these instances, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm also taking ownership and saying, without the proof, I didn't see that happening. I threw in a lot of money in a company that I still didn't know a lot about at the time
Mm,
to do that. And but I'm still collecting, and the large majority of the things that these fudders said were lies, right? They've actually rolled out. We were told that we were not going to get MCP points, right? We were
hmm.
told that we were going to get cash out. We were told that the VV verse was never going to happen,
OMI
right?
to NFT, man.
What's that?
OMI to NFT.
And exactly, like there's so many of these things, this narrative, and it's the same characters, right, that are sitting there saying, this will never happen, this will never happen. And then they
Yeah.
don't take ownership and say, you know what, I was wrong about that. Props to VeVe. And that's when I just say, these are the people that I'm blocking because they add no value to my life.
Yeah.
They're energy vampires, and their whole intent is to deceive. That's funny because they are deceiving people, right? Maybe, and I say that because maybe initially their intent, they really did believe this. But after we've seen so many instances of VeVe following through on things, maybe it's taken a lot longer than it should have, but following things and them not, again, giving them credit and taking ownership and saying, hey, I was wrong about this. That's when I'm sitting there saying, it appears to me that you are intentionally lying at
Mm,
this point, right? Which is
yeah.
what you're claiming that they were doing. And yet you're doing it yourself, right? And so again, I'm just like, I'm just gonna block these people. Listen, Jan, life is short. I love
Yeah.
my collectibles, and it's just like I don't need that. But every once in a while, I feel like because I have a voice in this community, like I do put out a video, kind of like addressing it. Like when they sat there and said that, there's this large sale of OMI, and me and Foster Hilt went through and basically showed that it was a glitch that had happened
Hmm.
on CoinGecko, right? And all
Yeah.
this stuff. And after that video is when he blocked me. And that
Yeah.
to me
Okay.
just proved it, right? Like, and he continues to do that. I mean, I say like he like crypto bro, and which is really sad because I felt like I had a good relationship with crypto bro for a while, where like he would point things out and I'd be like, yeah, like because I always am like, I want to make sure that I don't have blinders on, that I'm not
Hmm.
like so moon boyish on any project, right? That like I can't take a step back and be like, this is wrong. And which is why when I talked to Randy on the Only Is My Homie show, I talked about the things like airdrops and um, some other things. And then, Randy and I talked a lot about it. And then he put out this open letter or open video,
Hmm.
I guess, to Comey and VeVe. And a lot of that was stuff that he and I talked about,
Yeah.
right? These things that like now is the time for VeVe and Comey to really step up. because they do need more users and they need that
Yeah.
money. And if they don't get that, that is a concern of mine. Is how much money, how much runway do they really have if they can't
Mhm.
get into this VV narrative or an NFT narrative, this bull run? Like what happens at the company? So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a valid concern. But I want to go back to the point of working with the licensors. I had an interview with Corey, the head of content at VeVe, recently, which will
yeah,
be out when this interview comes out. So,
okay,
guys, if you're interested, check it out. It will be somewhere on my channel. And he told me like about the VR videos and AR videos they are putting out. And I mean, that's so great because with those videos, people kind of really understand what those digital collectibles are and what that it's not just a 2D picture. But
hmm
he said, like, the amount of work and clarification and back and forth with the licensors that goes into those those AR video clips is immense.
hmm
So on your point, when David once said, like, David or whoever it was, I'm not sure about that either,
yeah.
that these collectibles could be interoperable. I guess at that point he believed that. So, or whoever said it, right? But
Yeah.
another argument is self-custody. What is your view on that? Do you think the VV collectibles will be valid for self-custody one time or
Um,
once?
I think eventually the IP is gonna have to sign off on it. I don't know
Mhm.
when that is, but like yes, like I do think so. Um, and again, I think that there just needs to be clarity with the regulations, what can happen there, and then the IP also wants to know like um what I think that they're concerned about with self custody is can that get lost, right?
Mhm.
Like because like let's say that they put out like 200 Elsa, like one special collectible 200 Elsa, maybe it's 50 Elsas or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the people who have it, something happens and those get burned or they're just like gone, right? Like people like for whatever reason, like and I don't know. I wonder what they think about that, right? Like, hey, we put this out, but at the same time, I think that eventually they're gonna say, you know what, people. I mean, it's just like the toys that they put out,
Mhm.
right? They put out toys, and like over time, those toys get lost, and it's just
Yeah.
like just put out new stuff and let the users, if they don't understand it well enough, and then they bring it into their wallet and it gets hacked, or they send it to the wrong address and then it's gone and lost forever, then
Shit happens, right?
yeah, it happens, and I think that they're more worried about like lawsuits, like oh, like you didn't protect me. But again, once there's clarity around these things, and if we can structure it so that it's like, listen, if you decide to like bridge out of the VB ecosystem here, you're on your own. You're taking
Yeah.
full responsibility for that,
Yeah.
and you have no recourse, right? So I think that that's coming on, like, and I don't know when, and I just hope that it's soon enough that like VV's still around, like, and I not that I'm like concerned right at this moment that VV is going anywhere,
Yeah.
but they do need like listen, there are cycles still, and digital collectibles are not mainstream yet, and all I care about is that VV can survive until that happens,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
once that happens, and I believe it will happen at some point, once
Yeah.
that
Me too.
happens, VV will go crazy, so
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that they are around when that happens, and
Yeah.
that's where I think taking advantage of some of these opportunities with airdrops, interoperability, some of the things that like the Web3 people have been really wanting, um, I think that VB could do very, very well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, also, I think so too. I mean, something over the next couple of months needs to happen in terms of like OMI adoption, kind of, and more like more being louder as a founder or as a VV and the Comey team about the token. because I also think like when we look back to 2021, I mean, we were above 1 cent. And why? Just only because of hype and the NFT narrative.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, for whoever is watching, this is absolutely no financial advice by none of us, just to make clear. But there was nothing. We didn't even had like more than like 10 collectibles or so. I don't even know if we had collectibles back then. I mean, with the all time high we had collectibles, but the fundamentals now are way better.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
there are a lot of things like OMI to NFT, like bronze tickets, like MCP staking, etc., which weren't there back then. So I think the fundamentals are way better. So in my opinion, OMI is set up to be part of this overall crypto run, and not at the 800th place on CoinGecko or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
No, I agree, right? There was a lot of hype, and crypto is all about, it's an attention market. What can get the attention? And so what you need is bigger sales. Bigger sales draw in people, and this is one of the things that Randy and I talked about. As I said, VeVe needs to start doing more drops. So we look at like the Spider-Man, metallic red Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the Spider-Man 2099. We look at
Mm-hmm.
some of these recent drops that sold out, and the drop mechanics were great.
Yeah.
Because like with the Spider-Man 2099, right? You had like a common, you had the special common edition. I think you had like a rare, and then you had the secret rare. And so it was like a 1 in 10 chance of landing something really, really great, which is
Mm-hmm.
such a better chance than anything else that's been out there. And the price point wasn't, I mean, it was $40, but the collectible looks amazing. It
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
amazing. And so those are the types of things I just said, like right now, the best way to get in users is to make the drops valuable. Where people sit there and they say, listen, if I get this drop, more than likely I'll be able to sell it for more than what I got it for.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Like back in 2021. Yeah.
right. That's
You
why we got so many
whatever.
users, Jan.
Yeah. 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 And bots back then. We have to be honest on that front, right?
Oh no, there were so many bots, but the reason bots will be anywhere.
Yeah.
Listen, Nike has their shoe drops have bots. Like all of these companies, the reason there are bots is because they see the value,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like basically for me, if I'm seeing bots in VeVe, now I'm knowing that things are going well for VeVe, right? But but
Yeah.
the best way to combat bots, which like Nike didn't have or any of these things, is MCP points and ranks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so like that's the way to reward the collectors this way, is it's like, listen, you either have to, because it's going to benefit us one of two ways. They can sit there and say, to even go for this drop, you have to be diamond 2 or something like that, right? And so then people are like, well, shoot, I want this drop, or I want a chance at this drop, so I don't have the MCP points. I'm going to buy bronze tickets, which then
With
burns
Omi.
OMI,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so then all of a sudden the supply of OMI goes down, which benefits the OMI holders. And then they're gonna try and go for that, right? So like, and the more drops that they start to do like that, and then the people who are like, listen, I'm a collector and I am diamond 2. I don't even have to worry about it. I've got a shot regardless because I'm already collecting. So those
Yeah.
people are rewarded, right? At least with having a chance. And then on top of that, you have the randomization thing, whereas the bots before, it was just the quickest draw, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they always won there. So like their chances are a lot more limited than they were back in 2021.
Yeah.
So could there still be
Absolutely.
bots? Sure, but like their ability to land the drops compared to what it used to be, um, not only like it's going to be harder and it's going to be a lot more expensive, because maybe someone's like, well, I'm going to get 30 bots, but none of those bots have the MCP points. So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to need 30. They're going to need to buy how many bronze tickets just to get to that, right? For 30
Yeah.
chances at it. So it could burn a ton of OMI that way. And so, like you said, the fundamentals like are extremely like more well crafted and connected than they ever were in 2021. I mean, shoot, like they couldn't even do a whole drop without it like
Yeah.
blowing up, right? And
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
to postpone it and doing it again, right? And even with all of that, like the hype was there. And so OMI, which was extremely difficult to buy at the time, right, shot up like crazy. And now we have it. The ability to buy OMI is so much easier than it ever was. And once we get the DEX with Coinbase integrating the DEX into their actual app, to where literally on their Coinbase app, instead of even having to go to Coinbase Wallet, which kind of takes you out of the app, within the app, there will be a separate tab where basically it's connected to Aerodrome, and you can just say, I want to buy OMI. It pulls it from your Coinbase account, purchases it, and it's all on the app.
Yeah.
That, to me, there is such little difference between an actual Coinbase listing and that mechanism that, like, it's so close
Yeah.
to that I would be happy if it's just there. I'm happy with that. I don't then need it on the first tab. I'm very happy because any new user, right? Because the whole reason that we want these major exchanges is for ease of purchasing the token.
Yeah.
It's just as easy as, like, instead of clicking on the first tab and saying I just want to buy OMI, you just click on the second tab and say I want to buy OMI, and it's there. And so
Yeah. And I
that's what I'm
also
excited for.
sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
there. And I also think, like, if like we become a mass market product and not just a crypto product, I think those people will not care if it's directly listed on Binance or Coinbase. I mean, it's about how easy it is to get what you want. And for example, today I've purchased like 2 million OMI. I just sent some USDC to Stacker, swapped it, done. It was like 3 or 5 minutes max. I mean, that's okay. You have to be a little bit crypto native because you need USDC, and have to choose like the base, not the Ethereum address or something like that. Okay, I get that, but even that is so easy nowadays. On the Before we talk about more about the ways OMI is purchasable, because I understand that for you, it's not that important that it's a direct listing. I mean, we have the Coinbase wallet, the Binance wallet, we have Robinhood now, I guess, some kind of in the Robinhood wallet. I saw something with that. I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that there was I think you're right. I think that there is something with Robinhood. I'm going to check that out real quick.
Yeah. I've seen VeVe Viral posting something that he bought on Robinhood or on Robinhood wallet or something like that. So I think, like, obviously we need still more ways to access it. I mean, it can't be a bad thing if you have like 100 ways to access it instead of 10, for example. But I think even on that front, they made a big step forward. But now on the point of burns. That is like a common thing on X nowadays, here and there, that the current burn rate is like not really important in terms of the overall supply. And I have to say, yes, that's true. I mean, the current burn rate definitely has no impact on anything. But if we take a look at, I don't know exactly which drop it was, but like 16,700 bronze tickets were used for that drop. And just imagine all those were purchased with OMI. Or they really integrate OMI into the VeVeverse. You can buy OMI exclusive drops, etc., etc. I mean, in my opinion, those burn rates could easily go up significant. Let me know what you think.
No, I agree. So it was the Johnny Storm secret rare where you had to be a Diamond 1 or a Master Collector, right? And so then there was a ton of bronze tickets that were burned to do that. And you know what? Anyone who landed that made money, right? And that's what they need. And so I agree. Like, the current burn rate of OMI is meaningless, really. Like, it does nothing. But why I'm excited is because the different mechanisms that they have, and this was a demonstration of it, right? Is that they can provide certain drops that would be very valuable, that people would be excited about, that they would want to buy the bronze tickets to get the chance, right? And that's the other thing, is it'll be interesting to see, because I'm hoping that eventually, right, they'll have a drop And it's basically, it's like you're burning this OMI, you're getting these bronze tickets, but even though you get that master collector status or that diamond one status or whatever the tier is, you still might not get it because there's so many other people who are also doing that, and there's no
Yeah.
refund, right?
Yeah.
This is your gambling risk, and so there will be people who will be really upset. But the people who landed on those drops, those are the ones that will be so desirable that like they will go for multiple X's of whatever they paid for, which will incentivize people to then want to do that again the next time
Yeah.
to try. And yes, if they do those, and I don't think they should do them frequently, maybe twice a month or something like that, right? But like, or maybe they lower it for different drops or something like that. But for the really big drops where they're like you got to have a super high tier status to get this, that's where then you can have a lot of bronze ticket burns to do that. And so, but on top of that, and here's something interesting too, Jan. Someone reached out to me, and I'm trying to remember what project it was, but they burned a ton of their tokens. They
Oh
just
yeah,
burned a
I've seen
ton.
that. I've seen that tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and the price of the token went crazy because of it, right? And my thing is this is in the past, so for your token to be a security, it has to meet like the three-prong test, the three-prong Howey test, right? And part of it is like one of the main prongs is based on the efforts of others, but then also it's like, was there an investment contract? And there's one other prong that just right now I'm forgetting, but with regulatory clarity that's coming out, where basically if they're like, hey, if your token's a utility token, if it can be used, and OMI is, right, you can use it to purchase collectibles, like that's what it's there for. You can be used to buy bronze tickets, these types of things, right? Then it can get an exception and saying it's not a security. And if they can get that exception, then they could burn of their own volition tokens like that, where all of a sudden they could say, you know what, I'm going to burn 5 billion of my tokens. Bam. And then all
Yeah.
like, so these are the types of things that regulatory clarity are crucial. And I understand people are sitting there saying, well, like, listen, why did they do that? Why can't VeVe do that? And I'm like, you know what? Because they're not tied to all this other major IP. I don't know what their
Yeah.
contracts say,
Yeah.
but their
Yeah.
contracts could include something about like, hey, like you can't do anything with the token that's gonna like impact or negatively impact like the perception of our company, or like I don't know, right? And so they
Yeah.
do have to be more careful than some project that has no tie. It's just their company. And one of the other arguments that people would say is they're like, well, all of these other Web3 companies are doing this. And I'm like, right. And they're putting themselves at risk for doing that. You look
Yeah.
at Stoner Cats, right? Like they got targeted. Impact Theory, these NFT projects, they got targeted and like lost a ton of money. And the users lost a ton of money. And I'm saying all of those people who are taking this risk, yes, you're making money right now. But if the SEC targets them and you're still holding the bag, your tokens are worth zero, right?
Yeah.
Like all of
Yeah.
a sudden they're
Exactly.
worth nothing. And I'm not, I didn't want VeVe to take that risk. I'm glad they didn't take that risk. But as we're starting to get regulatory clarity, Jan, that's where I'm kind of turning up the dial on the pressure and saying, I think that things are a lot more clear. The SEC is coming out and kind of saying these things. And hopefully with the Clarity Act, that should be getting passed maybe in September, October, November timeframe on who controls what. And then once they do that, then those agencies truly can put out guidance saying like, this is how we're interpreting the Clarity Act or the law, and this is how we're going to proceed here. And then it gives projects a lot of clarity on like what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
And I just hope that that happens quickly enough, and that VeVe actually jumps on that opportunity. If they can burn tokens, I actually think that the founders, if they burned a significant portion of their tokens, their remaining tokens would be so much more valuable than if they never sold it and they tried to build it up another way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the founders tokens, because I guess both have 30 billion or so. I'm not quite sure, but they have a lot. But those tokens are still on Go Chain. They never touched it, to make that clear for those who think, oh, they founders have sold on our heads or to take profits. I mean, they didn't. But I think it's I can understand like both sides. If they burn, for example, half their stack, I mean, it's so much money they throw in the bin. But I get your point that that the remaining tokens will be way more valuable if, like, for example, 10-15% of the total circulating supply getting burned, definitely. And also it would be a great sign for the community. I mean, then honestly everyone would be, let's go, guys. And I mean, the sentiment would skyrocket, in my opinion. But I also get why it's maybe hard to burn half your existing bag. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and listen, I don't know what figure that is, but I can point to that exact example of how much tokens were burned on that project, and then what the token did price wise, and the price appreciation of the token was magnitudes higher than the
Mm,
amount that they burned, right? Like, so let's say that they burned half their supply, the token price didn't just double; it like 10x'd. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
so so that means that they could have been sold like 20% or like of their tokens, or 10% of their tokens basically, and gotten the same amount. Like, that basically covered their whole, how much they would have made had they sold their entire bag at that other price.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still have more tokens. So I mean, listen, like, yeah, it every project's going to be different, but I guess where I was going with this is, and I'm not saying that they have to burn anything, but if I'm them, you better believe that if I'm like, okay, um, we're at the start of this bull run, we're starting to see NFTs rise. Like, do I want to make a splash? Can I do this in combination with the rollout of? Because there's rumors of VeVe doing, like, being interoperable at like some point in the near future. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so partnering it with that announcement, like, hey, not only is like these NFTs now
Mm-hmm.
interoperable, but we're burning half our bags. Like, the amount of attention that then also gets
Yeah.
drawn, and then combining that with, like, oh, when we're doing this super special drop, and you got to be like a master collector, and so you got to either buy bronze. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that could just really kickstart everything and just
Mm,
bring a ton of people into the ecosystem. Um, and like, I really hope that they do like something like that.
yeah.
Because if not, like, man, I'd hate to see them miss the boat, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, attention is definitely the most important thing we need, because in my opinion, obviously I'm into VeVe now for more than 4 years, and I definitely believe in VeVe and Ecomi and their future. So for me, it's clear. But in my head, it's like, okay, when other people see what kind of brands with Disney, Star Wars, and all the other big brands VeVe has on the in the Web3 space, it is for me a no-brainer that a lot of people at least will go down that rabbit hole and do a bit of research. And I've talked to VV Viral in one of my last interviews, and he was like that he believes we need like 5 to 10,000 new users who are kind of active to really push the market.
Mhm.
And I want to know, what do you think? How many would we need? Because a lot of times it's like we need millions. I don't believe that we need millions of users.
No, I agree with VV Viral's assessment. 5 to 10,000 would make a massive dent, because again, when we're talking about, we want to start getting drops that if you land a drop, you can sell it for more, even if it's you land a drop for $7 and you can sell it for 12,
Yeah.
type thing, right? Like, anything like that gets people excited, and so when you have like a 5,000 mint drop, but then you've got 12,000 people going for it,
Mm-hmm.
because they want that drop, right? Then a lot of those people, if they don't land the drop, they're going to go for it in the secondary market. There's enough demand there at that point that then they're willing to pay over mint price to get
Yeah.
that, right? And so, yeah, 5 to 10,000 would absolutely make a dent in that, because also they'd be buying off the secondary market, and so even like
Yeah.
floor prices on things that like have already happened, right? Like, those would rise as they're like, no, I want this, I want this. They start finding the things that they like, and then as that happens, that will inevitably draw more people in. It's kind of like an upward spiral, like self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like more people. I landed this drop. It's worth more, and so and I can sell that. And someone's like, hey, like I didn't land the drop, but I'm buying this because honestly, I like this mint number or something. And then as more people come in, I might be able to sell it for more too. And so David in the past has talked about like, listen, these are collectibles, and we want to cool the market, right? And that is not the greatest statement like that. Like, and I hope that he's learned from that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
is looking and seeing like what is happening now in the market. And again, people love to collect what they like, but at the same time, in this market, a lot of people are saying there's speculation saying I believe that down the line, like digital collecting will be mainstream, and there will be such a big market that will want my ultra rare Vader or something like that I will be able to sell it for a lot more. Now they'll
Yeah.
probably still have multiples where they want to still keep one, right? So there's still that collecting desire there, but also like the desire to potentially make money off that. Like, and that's part of the whole collecting space too, right? When we talk about like, hey, this comic just sold for $2 million, well, it's because someone held on to that, hoping that it would go up in price,
Yeah,
and then they
exactly.
could sell it for that. Like
Yeah.
there is an investment aspect to collecting, and I don't think that we can pretend like that's not the case here. And so, when we're calling these digital collectibles, and that there's mint numbers, and we can show ownership, that intrinsic value there. But I think that there's a lot that VeVe could be doing here in the next 3 to 4 months to really, really spark a lot of attention, right? And get
Yeah.
people excited with airdrops, with better drop mechanics and mint numbers and mint prices and stuff, which then will bring in more users, and then overall will generate more revenue for VeVe as
Mm-hmm.
that expands.
Absolutely. And and in my opinion, with the VeVe community, they have such a strong tool and such a strong community they need to
Mhm.
leverage more, because I mean the the possibilities and the possible is content opportunities is so much more than in all the other NFT projects, in my opinion. I mean, with the AR, the VeVeverse, and all that kind of stuff, you have so many people who make so cool and amazing and interesting content, and I think they should leverage this a little bit more. I don't know exactly how, but maybe there. I mean, Foster put something out like who is the most active posting on X, so that they could say, for example, hey, we do it this week. Who is at the leaderboard, or the challenges in app? Who is supporting VeVe and OMI the most has a chance to, or wins one of 5 collectibles or whatever. I mean, they
Yeah.
could do that. I guess I'm not sure how the regulatory clarity is on that front, but just an idea. I mean, they
No,
do
I
giveaways
think
anyway.
they could absolutely do that contest with, like, there'd be no issues with that if they're saying, listen, whoever posts the most on this like wins 5 million OMI, a million OMI, something like that. Whoever's the most active and stuff, we're going to reward the users, or there's a tier, right? And something
Mm,
like that. Let's get this out. Let's get the word out. I would hope that they would do that in tandem with some sort of cool announcement, right? With like
mm,
bronze tickets, or like what, some drop and using bronze tickets and how to access that. They want to kind of layer on things, right, to make it even more impactful. But see, these are the types of ideas that, like, as the market starts to heat up more, I really hope that they're just saying, listen, we are going to try to get as much attention as possible and
yeah,
bring this in, and because if they do, because I remember, John, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, these Twitter spaces, like, there was like
they
thousands
were
of
packed,
people.
man. There were a couple thousand people.
But we had like NBA stars, like
Mm,
in there, right? Like we had really big. This is back when like blue checks were still a thing, and so it was just like, and we
yeah,
had so many blue checks there that were listening in, and they were all excited and things. Um,
the Gymshark founder, for example.
yeah,
Yeah,
like, yeah, multimillionaires. And the thing is, though, like I've talked quite a bit with Dr. Profit, who is a massive whale. I've talked with Mr. MC. I've talked with a lot of whales in this space, right? And they still see they understand that there's risk there, but they see the potential that VeVe has,
Hmm.
and I honestly to this point don't think that they have come anywhere near their potential on what they can be doing. And I'm just hoping that the tail end of this year, that they start exercising some of that, like flexing those muscles and saying, here's what we got, here's what we've done, here's what we've been building.
Yeah.
Because again, I think that if they do that in tandem with crypto running up and stuff like that and more money coming to this space, it will absolutely get attention to VeVe and those collectibles and the OMI token.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe so too. And I mean, they are the for me, they are the top player in this game. I mean, there's nothing even close in terms of those magnitude and those big IPs and partnerships they have. I mean, that's still one of the biggest and most important points for me. The brands they are associated with. I mean, that's just amazing in my opinion. Um, is there anything that like got you excited in the last couple of weeks or months, or something noteworthy to point out where what we haven't discussed?
Well, I'll say like one of the things that we kind of haven't discussed, but like all I can say is that there's still people out there. Like it's been exciting. Where shout out to Comics and Crypto, right? And even others. I mean, it's not just like VeVe, like, but there are people who really care about mint numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you got like Wolverine. He loves the DC candy stuff, and so he's getting like the mint number ones of some of these different comic books and stuff, or special mint numbers of like the mint, like the year that it was published. And Comics and Crypto are doing the same thing, right? And they're throwing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on some
Yeah.
of these mint numbers. And in fact, like I actually landed like a pretty amazing mint number and claimed the bounty with Comics and Crypto at
Okay.
one point,
Nice.
and just had a chat with him about that. But I've also sold. It's funny because like uh, I won't say what mint number, but there was a mint number, and I can't remember. I just like randomly. It was during the challenge where it was just like you wanted to list your collectibles, right? Like, and if you listed them, you got more points or something.
Mm-hmm. I love
So
these challenges, by the way.
yeah, I think they're great, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of engagement there, and so I was listing all my collectibles and stuff like that for a lot higher because I didn't want to actually sell them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
someone
Me
to
too.
buy
Me
them.
too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And so like I listed this one mint number, like the floor was like $12. I listed it for like $178,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or gems, and it sold. And
And
I
you're
was
like,
like,
damn it.
yeah, I was like, wait, what? Like
Yeah.
because to me it wasn't even like a super special mint number that I was aware of. But then I was like, well, who the heck bought this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their name was like Mr. and then the mint number that he bought, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
he is collecting all of those mint numbers, and I had no idea,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so I guess what I'm saying is that there really are collectors out there that I do think that mint numbers absolutely matter, and that's one of the things that I love about VeVe and how they've implemented that system. And so yeah, like at the end of the day, Jan, I think that there's a lot that David Yu can do with the OMI token and with the VeVe collectibles to bring attention to this space. I think that, in my opinion, I think that they can be doing airdrops now. I think that they can be doing airdrops
Mm-hmm.
now. I think that they can be doing competitions of like, hey, whoever's the most active posting on OMI and stuff like that on X, we're going to reward you. Maybe it's a 2-week thing, but again, it's in tandem with some awesome announcement leading up to some announcement there that they can be doing these. I love the challenges that they're starting to do of just collecting
Yeah.
sets, and actually shout out to VeVe for doing that because it is. Listen, I am. Let's see what right now. My
I mean, on the set challenges, I have no chance. I think my place isn't even shown in the app. I'm so
yeah,
far down.
I am the ultimate set challenge holder. I just Oh yeah, no, I'm still in there. I'm still on the leaderboard. I'm still on the leaderboard. But like my profile, so I am level 91.
Mm-hmm.
Level 91. I'm getting a lot closer to that level 100 there, right? Like but very like I'm serious about like I love these collectibles, man, and like I put my money where my mouth is. And but there's so much that they can be doing here, like leading up to the end of this year, and I really think that they need to be doing that. And I might make another video, kind of piggybacking off of what Randy said. I mean, really, like a lot of the things Randy said, like I was talking to him about already,
Mm-hmm.
maybe putting even a little bit more pressure. Because I think sometimes, people are like, oh, you're just a moon boy, you don't care. And I'm like, no, man, I've called out crap. I've called VeVe out
Mm-hmm.
on stuff. Like, they're not perfect, and that's okay. But the way I do it is a lot more professional, right? There's no
Yeah.
personal attacks. Like, that's where people go wrong, right? Where it's just like, you guys are liars, you're deceivers, all these things. And it's like, hey, I don't know what happened, behind the scenes. Like, I do understand a lot more of like the regulation that like they're concerned about. But as I'm looking through this, now I'm saying, hey, there's a lot more clarity. The SEC, like Hester Person, the crypto task force, like they've come out and said a lot of
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
here, that now would be the time to start doing some of these things. And so, yeah, I might kind of piggyback off that. But overall, Jan, like I'm very bullish. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. And they haven't missed the boat yet, but I think it's kind of time to kind of turn up the heat a little bit on them and
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
like,
I'm with you there. Yeah.
yeah, let's start seeing some action.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. That was an awesome chat. Thanks for taking the time. And for everyone who's still watching, leave a like, leave a comment, and let us both know what you think about the different points we discussed. And also follow the channel if you got value out of this conversation. And if you liked this conversation, you will probably like this one as well. So guys, see you next time. Bye bye.
See everyone.